We're still here on Good Morning Anambra, and this morning we're looking at issues that affect our daily lives, and one of them is what we're going to look at this point, protecting our unborn baby.
Yes, I know that over the years, women have been fighting for reproductive rights, that is to have control over their sexuality and childbearing. They said, if achieved, if it will help them to, help in reducing incidences of abortion. And we have a gynecologist that has joined us in the house.
Yes, Dr. Louis Mwajiako, obstetrician and gynecologist, join us in the studio to look at this topic.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So looking at this assertion, is it possible for them to have a reproductive life, and if they do, will it reduce the incidences of abortion as we are looking at protecting the unborn baby?
Certainly. It's been achievable in Europe, America, the struggle been on, and they've been giving very good statistics. So in our environment, I think it's quite achievable. And with the help of UNICEF, solely for the children, and then with the help of WHO, then there's also a society we call Society for Obstetricians and Gynecology of Nigeria, and then Federation of International Gynecologists and Obstetricians, midwives, and all the rest. We've been putting effort together to see how that unborn child comes out safe, and the mother is quite safe as well.
All right, before we begin to look at how to protect this unborn child, who is this unborn child? And to what extent is his rights protected? When is a child considered having a right to life? Is it after the birth or at the conception? At what point?
Certainly, it's been always a controversial issue. Exactly. Having a religious dimension, and then how people want to picture it. From the religious aspect, for instance, the Catholic Church, for instance, says life starts at conception. And if you say unborn child, it means once that child is inside the womb, once that gamete meets, the sperm meets the egg, and an embryo is formed, it means once you're talking about unborn child, it starts from that moment. So you're already thinking about that person as a child. So the right conferred on that child from that moment. So for those who from religious aspect believe life starts from that conception, they begin to have an aspect of protecting that unborn child, and that gave rise to what you have as a pro-life group. Those who will say for no circumstance, for no reason, will you tamper with that baby inside the womb. Now, as the child continues to grow inside the womb, then you begin to consider what is the right of that child in terms of medical considerations and all the rest. But in the real sense of it, in the actual sense of it, the right of that child starts when that child has been conceived inside there, and the child cannot protect him or herself. So protecting the child comes from the mother, and then the responsibility of the society.
So to you, as an obstetrician and gynecologist, you consider this unborn child at that point of conception?
At that time of conception, like I told you, is a mixed component.
For you, as someone who has practiced for some time, which of this school of thought do you belong to?
I belong to the school of course, I cannot divert my religion. And where it affects with managing my patient, of course, I can tell my patient this is the limit of what I can do for you. We can sort help elsewhere, as it is. The right of that child starts from that conception.
Okay, let's now look at, as we look at the rights of the child, does it infringe on the rights of the mother in a situation whereby the mother's life is in danger, and then the doctors or the proponents of this protection of the life of the unborn child is saying that this child should not be tampered with, while the life of the mother is in danger?
Yes, it is not strictly as if the demands of the mother or issues bordering on how the mother is able to cope with pregnancy determines solely whether the child stays or not. It's guided actually by law. So when the conflict arises, for instance, if you're looking at abortion, we have what we call abortion laws in the country, which could be free in some clans and some restrictive. So in Nigeria, we have restrictive abortion law. And the law says you don't tamper with that child under no circumstance, except, it's actually enshrined in the penal code, is except where it is actually determined that the life of that woman is in danger, clearly. And that decision should be taken by at least 2 doctors.
Not one person.
Not one person. So it is not a case of what the mother desires that ultimately determines whether that child will go on or gets terminated at the end of the day. But over there abroad, of course, the abortion law is not restrictive in some countries. So they're able to, allow the right of the mother to determine whether that child will continue or not.
So in a situation where the life of the mother and the child is in danger, that the tendency of having both of them alive is slim, it behoves at least on 2 doctors to make determination who comes out alive, if that choice is in the hands of the doctors.
Right. At any moment in time when the life of the mother is at risk because of the baby that is in the womb, it is actually determined for us here in Nigeria. It is actually determined by the doctor, at least 2 doctors, to actually say, we're going to safeguard the life of this mother. And that means that baby may be sacrificed in that circumstance. For instance, we have situations like what we call severe preeclampsia. It's a form of hypertension in pregnancy.
I was actually going to ask you, what are the circumstances or the situation whereby the mother will be found and then they will know that that's a threat to life?
For instance, like the medical condition I just mentioned, severe preeclampsia is a special form of hypertension in pregnancy. Very dangerous because the life of the woman is at stake and it doesn't spare any organ in the woman. The challenge to the doctor comes in situations, for instance, where the woman probably may have had 4 pregnancies, no child at the end of it. And the woman is having this condition, for instance, and that baby is not yet mature in such a way that if you deliver that baby at that moment, that baby will not survive. But you see the mother going down, the kidneys are damaged, you may have convulsion, you may have heart failure, you may have liver failure, and all the rest. And the only condition we know that can actually begin to enhance reverse of the process is when you stop that pregnancy. In that circumstance, the onus rests on the doctor in consultation with another colleague who will have an independent opinion to tell the mother at this time, this child will not allow the child to survive anymore. It's your life that we're after.
Okay, let's now look at what I call them institutional barriers to protecting the rights of the child. How do you measure up in making sure that in cases where the hospital is not properly equipped, how do we protect the unborn child at those points?
There are regulatory agencies. For instance, government has made it possible that before you're able to register a hospital, there are basic things that are required. You go through what we call Ministry of Health, Medical and Dental Council. So they have regulations that these basic conditions must be in place for you to handle so and so condition. And then you have this level or cadre of staff to attend to the patients so that you don't put the life of the patient at risk. That does not actually take away the fact that currently in the society, there's largely an abuse of such. And that is why we're having such horrible figures in terms of babies we lose and the mothers we lose at the end of the day. Yes, regulation is essentially better abroad. We may be referencing abroad because that becomes the limelight in most things we discuss. Because regulation is better, much work done by the individual. You know your rights. The government protects you even when you don't want to protect yourself, as it is. So it's a very regulated environment. So in that case, they will have better statistics unlike what you have around us here. But already, because we copy most of the things we do from them. So those laws are already there. agencies or outfits are there that are meant to regulate the practice. But the issue is that, are they really at work in the real sense of it?
Okay, let's get back to our intro about women seeking for reproductive rights, especially when it comes to sexuality and childbearing. I know that some women are having problems with their husband in terms of how many children they want to bear. Some women say that I'm okay with the number I have. I don't want to go on bearing children. The husband is insisting. If she comes to you and seek for family planning, that will stop her from being pregnant, so that there won't be issue of putting the unborn child in danger. Okay, so what will you do? Will you give her the family planning she asked for without the consent of the husband?
As long as that woman is not a minor, that means she's not a child, is not mentally incapacitated, every obstetrician will actually oblige the services that the woman demands for.
That's without the consent of the husband.
The law does not even make provision whether the husband consents or doesn't, as long as the woman is in the right sense in making those requests.
All right, we're still looking at promoting the unborn child, and so far we've been able to look at several issues. We've looked at several issues, and these things are things that will continue to affect our daily lives. But for now, we'll bring you voices from the street. When we come back, you can start calling in with the phone lines on your screen. Stay with us.
Mother or a woman who is pregnant supposed to go for her antenatal regularly, not even once, because majority of us just go and register. Maybe after registering, you may not see her again. There are many things that daily drugs protects in the child. Keeping yourself neat, staying out of, should I say, dirty environment.
The mother has to be very, very meticulous. At least she shouldn't be stressing herself, overworking herself. She should minimize the rate she does her activities. Then again, she shouldn't stay where they smoke. She shouldn't take alcohol. So we understand that most women do like when they're pregnant, they like taking alcohol.
You get go to register for antenatal first. Na-eje check up mgbe ọbụla akpọ ije nne na antenatal. Ọzọkwa bụ mmadụ idebe area anya ọcha. Tụrụ nri ọ na-eli, ịta mkpụrụ osisi ka nwa ahụ ibu n'afọ wee na-enwetakwa arụ ike n'ebe ahụ ọ nọ.
One can protect our unborn child by going to antenatal, taking the necessary routine drug that she's supposed to take, making herself to be neat, living in a neat environment, and listening to the sound of the baby. Whenever you feel abnormal, you now go and visit your doctor.
Yes, it's still Good Morning Anambra. We're looking at protecting the unborn baby. You can join the discussion by calling the phone lines on your screen, make your contribution. So ask questions where you're confused. We have a professional here who will be addressing it, addressing those questions. Dr. Louis Nwajako, obstetrician and gynecologist. He's with us in the studio. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right. One of the persons that spoke in that Vox Pop started raising the issue of what the parent must do to ensure that the child is protected. Let's look at it. Do you think women are doing enough to protect their born children?
Women.
Maybe let's start from there before you go. Doc.
Yeah, the responsibility towards protecting the unborn child much lies on the woman. Then the society has a role to play, and the husband who is out there has a role to play in the real sense of it. So whether the women are doing enough, they are doing enough within their capacity. I think they are, because there's no woman that is pregnant that really want the child, harmed. in the real sense. I think they are doing enough because once the services are provided, they really assess most of those services. The support should actually
to house the baby and then be feeding the baby properly. I think you're doing enough.
Okay, what about the supporting role by men? How would you assess the men now?
Actually, that's actually the aspect that may even be the bulk of the issue. Here it is the man's environment. So his word is A and amen. So if he's on the right track, good for the woman. If he's on the wrong track, you see what it means.
Well, you tell us how to be on that right track, but someone is telling us. Hello? Hello?
Okay, okay. Are you there? Hello?
No, I don't think
You've
so.
dropped it. Okay, talking about the man's role, let's look at sexuality during pregnancy. Some African beliefs say that the sex, the kind of sex you have during pregnancy will affect the unborn child in the womb. As a medical doctor and a gynecologist, how?
Is this true?
No. How do you expect or advise the pregnant woman and the father to,
Sex during pregnancy is not compulsory. And the woman who didn't have sex during pregnancy does not confer any extra burden on the pregnancy or the baby. However, what we know is that most of the time, in condition like a condition I mentioned earlier, severe preeclampsia, no known cause been ascribed to that condition up till now. However, we know it is common in women who are getting pregnant for the first time. So some people have actually looked at it as the body being hostile to the sperm, and some people feel a more frequent exposure will help it. But at the end of the day, these are all speculations. So ultimately, there's no documented issue in terms of the number of sex or absence from sex or the quality that is going to confer much problem on that unborn.
So what if a woman that is having prone to abortion all the time, the pregnancy gets to maybe 2 months, 3 months, and the thing goes off, and the doctor advises him stay away from your husband once you're confirmed pregnant?
Yes, there's something we call pelvic rest or bed rest in terms of conditions in which activity, not essentially sex on its own. Not essentially sex. There are conditions you can find in a woman who has something like what we call placenta previa. It's a condition in which the placenta lies low, away from where we want to find it. That means it's lying before the head of the baby that is down, or the buttocks, as the case may be. The tendency there is that the woman is likely going to bleed. So anything agitating the womb, maybe during an examination or during coitus with the husband, can precipitate bleeding. In such situation, we may advise the woman, please abstain in terms of that. So you can imagine if we can advise a woman to abstain, and some people tell you that if the woman never had sex with a husband during pregnancy, there are some challenges. So you can see what other problems that will even come if you're saying that every woman should actually have sex while pregnant.
So basically on that level is circumstantial. It depends on the person and maybe circumstances. All right, we'll now ask you one final question. What would be your advice to women, to government, and to society when it comes to protecting the unborn child?
It's enshrined in what we had in 1987, the Safe Motherhood Initiative, which has in it the family planning. It gives a quality life to the woman in terms of the number of children that woman will have, when the woman will have it, in determining the sex, and then the sex life in determining the size in their family and how they're going to come. That Safe Motherhood comprises all that. Family planning, antenatal care for the woman, which is fundamental for that unborn child. And that's where the woman gets all the benefits in terms of diet, in terms of prevention of conditions that may harm the child, in terms of handling any complication that may arise along the path, then giving her a good obstetric care, then even care after the child is born, and preventing some diseases like maybe HIV, malaria, and the challenges. So government can come into that aspect to actually help that woman.
Okay.
Because A healthy woman, of course, conveys that healthy child.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Louis Nwajako, obstetrician and gynecologist, for providing these insights on the show this morning. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right.
All right, this is where we call it a wraps on Good Morning Anambra, our discussion segment for this morning, as we looked at several important issues that affect our society. First of all, we started with improving the quality of made in Nigeria goods, and we also looked at protecting the unborn child. This is how we call it wraps. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making contributions and for following at all times. I am David Okwasele.
My name is Sijama Uche. Thank you very much, the Good Morning Anambra team, for making it happen today. We'll be with you tomorrow. Bye for now.